What's up, guys? My name is David.
And my name is Aidan.
And welcome back to the David and Aidan Show. Today, well, we don't have a calendar because we're doing a Halloween episode in December. We're both very busy, and I recently got into horror. Aidan is a massive horror fan, so I thought we should do a horror ranking. Like I said, we're both very busy. That's why we're doing it in December. But horror is such a cool genre. I'm so happy I'm finally a fan of it. So these movies are kind of evergreen. They're always great movies, so why not still talk about them? So we're going to do a top 10, even though Aidan only has 8, while he's still a fan of the genre, he only has, 8 favorites. So with that being said, I say let's just jump into it.
For sure, I'm excited for this. Spooky season, it can be any season, so we're gonna enjoy ourselves some spooky Christmas time fun. It's gonna be a really exciting episode. If you wanted to knock off your 10 and 9 right away there, David, so we can kind of get on the same pattern there, you can jump on in.
Yes, number 10 was, I believe, the first real horror movie I ever watched, beginning of this year. That's A Quiet Place. Solid film. Great film. Reason it's 10 is I love the creativity. I love the filmmaking. I love that John Krasinski is directing. That's awesome. I love the cast. I just don't see myself rewatching it that much or it being stuck in my mind. So that's why it's number 10. Number 9 is one of my favorite movies ever, Nightmare Before Christmas. I love the ride at Disneyland. My cousin is a massive fan of this movie, possibly her favorite movie. So love this movie. Very nostalgic, very simple. Animation is great, but it's not a horror movie, so I didn't want to put it any higher.
Right. Yeah, I love that movie as well. That kind of slipped my mind when I was making this list, so if anything, I would say that would be, one of my 10 or 9 places as well. It's a great movie, and Quiet Place is also a superb movie. I have it a lot closer to number 1 on my list, so we'll get to it, but it's a great movie. Coming in at number 8 for me is The Boy. It's a Netflix, I don't think it's a Netflix original, but I found it through Netflix, and I was just kind of looking through various horror movies to watch one night, and it's an enjoyable watch, not gonna lie. It's, I wouldn't necessarily rewatch it. I've only watched it once, but it's a good horror film, and what I really like about horror films is just the idea of, taking a film, taking, like, images on a screen and being able to turn that into like an emotional response from the viewer. And I think the film's really cool. It's like a stereotypical horror film. It's newer. I think it's 2016, and it's a good film nonetheless. And yeah, I think it's pretty well made. It's definitely has a good number of jump scares, and all in all, I'd say it was a pretty enjoyable horror film. So there you go.
I did watch the trailer for that. It looks interesting. My number 8 is a horror classic, and that is Psycho. The reason it's not that high, I would go into the movie, but I mean, it's Psycho. It's been covered to death. Reason it's not that high is simply because, once again, kind of with 10 and 9, I don't see myself rewatching this one. It's just a film that I appreciate more than I love. So that's my quick number 8.
Nice. Psycho is superb. It's I love Hitchcock and all of his films, and I think Psycho was a really, really interesting way to break into the genre, and it was really interesting. So I'll get to that one as well. I have a lot of notes here that I'm going to talk about that, but yeah, Psycho, pretty great movie. Number 7 for me is the It remake from 2017. It's a decent horror film. Again, not my favorite in the world. I think it didn't necessarily, like, certain films, especially ones that really get into your head about, like, real events and stuff, those are the ones that really make me think and, like, that I feel like are the true horror films. I feel like it, it's just the concept of it is a little more unrealistic. I've never been really, like, scared of clowns. It's never been, like, a major fear of mine, so I think the movie doesn't necessarily connect with me. However, I do feel like the film is very well made, and Finn Wolfhard in it, he does a good job playing that role, because it's very similar to a Stranger Things role, I feel like, and it's just the cast worked well together, and it's a great film. Just again, not my favorite, and I'd probably not rewatch it, but it was an enjoyable watch nonetheless.
And I think there's a difference between the two of us. Like, when I was starting to pick out horror movies, I guess I am just a fan of more of, like, the fun horror movies. And that, I need to preface that because at number 7, Don't Kill Me is The Shining. So, fantastic movie. I have friends who would say that is the best movie ever made. Maybe. I could see the argument being made for that. It didn't hit me. Like, it was scary. It was an event. I had a blast watching it with my friend. But maybe you can help me out here. Why did Jack go crazy? Was it the house?
There's all
Was it the
kinds of
hotel?
theories around that, and I've been researching that, like, especially when I first started watching that. I've seen that film countless times, and I love the film to the bottom of my heart. I'll get to it, but it's the reasoning behind him going crazy. I mean, yeah, I think it's again the house. It's kind of the film touches on like these themes of isolation and what a person needs to maintain that specific kind of quality about them, that saneness. And I think again, I think it's the house, but there's also all kinds of different theories with especially the ending shot. That's
Right,
that's
right.
really great. So yeah.
Yeah, it was an experience for sure. I
Yeah.
definitely will rewatch it. Not anytime soon, but I definitely will.
Nice.
And I went down the rabbit hole. I did all of it, so it was definitely an experience. I just wish it connected with me a little bit more, especially when it's like The Shining. It's put up on such a pedestal, and I knew all the iconic lines and shots, so that wasn't new to me. So that probably tampered the experience a little bit. But regardless,
Right.
I don't like using this word, but objectively a great film.
Definitely. No, I agree. I think the film, again, like, I'll kind of echo what you were saying. Like, I was very familiar with a lot of the iconic shots and everything of that film before I went into it. And I have to say, like, it doesn't necessarily, like, scare me. Like, it didn't put me into, like, so much fear that I couldn't appreciate the film. But in a way, that's what makes me like the film even more, is because it really helps me appreciate the filmmaking behind the film. And it's it's just so cool. I'm so excited to talk about it a little bit more. But
Yeah.
solid ranking on your part. I'm glad to see it on your list. And number 6 for me is It, the original one, and it's it's just a classic horror film. Again, probably doesn't speak to me as much as some of the other horror films that I watch, but I like it more than the 2017 version. I think it's just that I have a thing with remakes. Like, I feel like you can't remake a film and make it better. In very rare situations do I like a remake of a film better than the original, and I just feel like they remake films to try to, like, appeal to newer generations, swap out different plot points and stuff to make it, like, oh, fresh and new for the kids. But, like, in a way, I feel like it takes away then from younger generations and newer people observing these classic films. It's like they're almost making it to replace the film. And I don't like that, because I feel like it takes away from classic cinema, and it could potentially remove experiences from other younger generations and stuff who might just settle for a remake. So that's my 2 cents on that. But yeah, there you go.
That's interesting, actually, because from the most part, just from like the little I've heard, most people love 2017's It more than the original one. One of
Yeah.
our friends in the critic community, Gavin, despises that movie, so I'm very surprised to see that on your list. But
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you for speaking positively about it, because I will check it out now. I've heard like
sure,
the
you
first
should,
part
yeah.
is really good, and then it kind of goes downhill.
Yeah, it's I mean, I think 2017 definitely got things right about the film. I just, like, from a overarching standpoint, I think original movies have a lot more to appreciate, because without that original, the remake would not exist, or exist in a vastly different form. So I think there's a lot to take away from the original. So there you go.
Nice. Coming in number 6 for me is Get Out. I
Nice.
love this movie. I've been waiting to see it ever since it came out in 2017, but I was way too young for it. Leg shaking the entire time. It is such a tense yet fun film. It's a classic horror film with just, some racial commentary on it, and that's what I was expecting. That's what I got. It is a great, socially relevant horror movie, and it's really fun to watch.
it's a spectacular film, and it touches on so many great topics, and it uses this platform of a horror film to bring across a lot of very important things, and it's a really great film. So I'm really glad to see that on your list. Yeah, that's awesome. I watched that film earlier, like I think just this fall. I watched it for a film class I'm taking, and it's a great film. So glad to have it on your list. Number 5 for me is The Silence of the Lambs, and it's not necessarily a horror film. I classify it more as like a thriller, but I still wanted to include it very desperately because it is a spectacular film. I watched it pretty recently, and it's so much fun to watch. It's it's really, really intense, and the acting in the movie is amazing. There's a lot of stuff to appreciate from the acting. Cinematography is really interesting. The way they convey different characters, their thought processes and who they are as a character through the cinema is really noticeable, and it's a really interesting addition to the film. And I just think the storyline is really great. It's just a really interesting movie, and it's a nail biter. It's a great film. So definitely would recommend it if you haven't seen it yet.
I have not, but I want to now. And
Nice,
speaking
nice.
of, I didn't want to include it because it's totally not a horror movie, but I need to talk about it just because it is literally my favorite thing at the moment. It's not on this list, but in the same vein of thrillers, Defending Jacob. It's an Apple TV's plus series, 8 episodes long. Incredible. Like I said, one of my favorite things ever. Not trying to be horror at all, but just the whole atmosphere of a family having to go through their kid being accused for murder. It is horrifying. Like, keeps me up, lost sleep that night when I watched the final episode. Horrifying. Like, it's really good,
Interesting.
really sharp, so I highly recommend that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I definitely have to check that out. I don't have Apple TV as of yet. I'm a more of an Android and a Windows boy
It's
myself.
also
but-
on stuff like PlayStation. Like
Oh,
you
sweet,
can get
sweet.
the app and you can get it on your computer. So
For sure, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check it out because yeah, I've heard of it a couple times before. I think some other people I know have been watching that. So, yeah, definitely we'll be checking it out and keep everyone posted on the how I like it on one of our future episodes here. So, very
yeah,
cool.
it's great. Just had to mention that. Like, any chance I get to talk
yeah.
about it, I have to take it. But number 5 for me is just pure fun. Ready or Not. It came out last year. It is about a girl who gets married to a rich family, and they made their fortune on board games. And to be a part of the family on their wedding night, they have to pick a card and play a game. It could be chess, tic-tac-toe, and the bad card is hide and seek, because hide and seek is a death game. So basically it's 90 minutes of her trying to have to survive these rich people trying to kill her. It is over the top, campy, funny, not scary, but it's just like lots of gore, and it's really fun. That's all I can say about it.
Nice. I've seen that. It's on my Letterboxd watch list, so I'm gonna definitely have to get to that one sooner or later. It looks really fun. So glad to have that one on your list. Number 4 for me, going back to Get Out. That's my number 4 ranking, and it is a wonderful film. I already talked about it a little bit, but I did have to watch this. I'm doing this film appreciation class at the college I'm taking classes at right now, and it's a great film. We had to watch it for the class, and what we had to watch it for, the main thing was to analyze its plot points, and we were learning, about story structure and all that kind of stuff, and it's after, creating my assignment for that film and really analyzing it and stuff, I just realized, all of the, it's a really good film for analyzing plot, and I think it's it adheres to a good plot structure, and it uses that kind of shell of a horror film to tell a really prevalent and important story, and it's really interesting. I think it's unlike any other horror film I've seen, and it's a little different than what you would normally think of a horror film being, but I think everything it does different, it does really, really well, and I think it's a good watch too. It's nail biter. It's very intense, and I think it's definitely deserves number 4 on my list. So yeah.
Yes, once again, fantastic film. Number 4 for me, continuing my enjoyment of just ridiculous horror movies, is Happy Death Day. Funny
Nice.
enough, I love Groundhog Day spin-offs, but I've never seen Groundhog Day. One of my favorite episodes of The Flash is in one of my least favorite seasons, being season 5, that episode where Noah just keeps going back in time. Love that episode. But I've never seen Groundhog Day. And you'd think I would see it by now, but I still haven't. But anyways, Happy Death Day, same formula. She dies, she lives the same day again. It's just cheesy, over-the-top, bad writing, fun. The lead actress actually does a really good job, unironically good job for just a ridiculous movie. It probably is a 2 out of 5, but I have it at a 4 out of 5 because it's so much fun. And at the end, it's actually pretty heartfelt. It's a nice character arc. It's very predictable, very very cliche, but enjoyable, and one that I will definitely rewatch again.
Nice. All right, moving along with number 3 on my ranking here. My number 3 is the amazing Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock. It's so good. It's such a great movie, and I love every single one of Alfred Hitchcock's films. I think a lot of people might say, they're very cheesy, they're very, old, but when you look at them, and we've talked about this a little bit before on the show, but when you look at them, they're so old, they're so, given the time that they were created, I think he did a wonderful job implementing techniques that are still used today. I made a whole video essay on his film The Rope, and I think that film is a great example of this. And even Psycho, it's a great example of a older thriller film, and it does a wonderful job of taking taking techniques to really add in a emotional response from the viewer, which I definitely think this film did. In particularly, the shower scene is a wonderfully edited scene. It really adheres to editorial rhythm, and it follows like the shot sequence. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's like 52 shots in the like minute that scene takes place. It's a lot of footage, and it really they use a lot of cool editing techniques, and that scene is it's a really great scene. There's a whole documentary on it called 78/52, and it talks a little bit more about everything that went into that particular scene. And a really interesting thing is, like, this film wasn't like, I don't think Hitchcock was really thinking he'd have a lot of success on this film. It was kind of like in between two big projects. They shot it in black and white and everything, and it wasn't meant to be as big as it was. And I think that really added to it, because it was truly the story, and what made it work was the fact that it was able to get into your head and really make you think. And I think it's that's really the definition of a great horror film, and he found that perfectly. I think it was it's a great way to see how the genre evolved from there. So that's my little rant about Psycho, but all in all, really like the film. So yeah.
No, I enjoy that. That was nice. I can tell that film class is paying off. Oh
yeah.
No, it's a great film. Like, I would definitely have it higher, just like the top 5 are just like the ones I will be watching for Halloweens to come. So
nice.
Coming in at number 3 for me is It, the 2017 movie. This was just like a nice, fun, relaxing hangout Halloween movie with like one effective jump scare. It's not scary at all. But it was just fun. It was like Stranger Things, the movie. And it was just nice. I wish I could add some insightful commentary after your great speech on Psycho, but it's just a fun movie with a really, really great young cast.
Oh yeah, it's a great cast, and like you said, a fun movie, and it's very, very reminiscent of Stranger Things, and I love Stranger Things so much. We, if we were making a ranking of scary TV shows or what have you, that would definitely be probably my number 1. Stranger Things is just an excellent TV show. It's very, very well made. So 2017 it is pretty darn good. So let's see here. Number 2 for me. We're getting pretty close to number 1, but number 2 is The Quiet Place, and I absolutely love the format of this film. It's so unique, and I mean, some people might consider it like cheesy or like gimmicky with that particular usage of the of that kind of silent effect, but I think it really benefited the film. Like, I think when films do something weird like that, like a one take thing, or like a completely silent film, I feel like people are always going to say it feels gimmicky. But when it's used well, like in Quiet Place, or like one take shots in 1917, when it's used well, it really drives the story. So you have to look at it from like, is this benefiting the story? If this technique wasn't used, would the story be the same? And if the answer is no, then I think you really discovered something interesting. Like, the story would be completely different if we were talking about Bird Box, which is an absolutely atrocious film. Not gonna lie, it's completely ripping off Quiet Place. Would not recommend it. But we're talking about Quiet Place, and the film's really good. I think it's just, they use this, they kind of pushed the boundaries of what a normal film is, and it really, really intensified the scare factor from the film. And really, like, I don't feel like the jump scares were anything insane. I mean, there were some good ones, but I felt like it was just about that anticipation, especially seeing it for the very first time in a theater. It's a really, really great experience, and I think the experience of watching that film is amazing. Obviously, a stellar cast, and it's a really, really nice film. So yeah,
nice. Hopefully, I can see the second one in the theaters, because I'm sure this was a great theater experience.
Oh yeah, it was so much fun.
Number 2 for me is The Sixth Sense. Great movie. It's not really horror. It's just more kind of like psychological thriller, if you can call it that. Right. It's such a good movie. It's such a great tale from two perspectives. You have the kid going through his struggles, and then the guy, spoiler warning, Wait, have you seen it?
I have not.
Okay, never mind. And you have the guy going through his journey, and then if you know the movie, you know it's an additional thing on top.
Nice.
It's just a really great movie, and then the ending, which is one of the most iconic ending of all time, which unfortunately I was spoiled on. The movie still works. Like there is a point where it just gets sad, and the acting is incredible. A little kid does such a great job. Everything about this movie is just really sharp. Like the story, it's not even that long. Like for a movie that could totally just be pretentious and go on for like 2 hours, it's nice and condensed. There's just not much to say about it. It's a really, really great film with a great ending.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that's again on my watch list for sure. And where did you watch it at? Is it streaming anywhere? Because I was trying to find.
I'm pretty sure I rented it on Prime. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Yeah, because I was we were trying to find some movies to watch one time, and we couldn't find anything to stream anywhere. So I'll definitely have to try and buy it or rent it soon and check it out because it's definitely been on my list for a long time. And yeah, it sounds like a great film. So very cool. Number one for me is The Shining. As I'm sure you probably guessed, it's a wonderful, wonderful film, and I could go on about it forever, but I'll try to keep my little rant here short enough. It's a great film. I think we were talking about it a little bit earlier. I don't think it necessarily like scared me, and maybe it's just because I watched it a little. I watched it last year, so a little bit more recently. So maybe I'm not as scared by these films. But it didn't seem as scary. It's just again, it's the amount of it gets into your head. It's something that's a little bit more of a thinker. The ending is just so incredibly fun. I would compare it to, maybe not as strongly, but I would almost compare it to the ending of Inception. It's just that kind of, that really thinker ending that gets you. It's kind of like that call to action then to just go down the YouTube rabbit hole for like 5 hours watching various theories and stuff. So that's a lot of fun. And I think just the techniques used, it was the first film ever to use like a Steadicam technique when they're following the kid down the hallway on the big wheel thing. Just that tracking shot down the hallway that's really smooth and stuff. One of the very first films, if not the first film, to utilize a shot like that. And just various other stuff, the blood pouring down the hallways, and like there's all kinds of techniques and iconic moments that this film has created. I feel like you can clip almost any part of this movie and it could be seen as like an iconic horror film moment. Like if you want a GIF that represents horror movies in general, you can take a scene from this movie and it could definitely capture that. And I think it's just really cool how iconic it has become, and I think it really helped pave the way for future horror films. And other than that, it's just a super fun movie to watch. I really, really enjoyed watching it, and I've seen it many, many times. So yeah.
Nice. No, it's absolutely incredible. And I was just, when you were talking about the that shot where he's going down the hallway, just the whole set of this movie is unreal. And I didn't really...
Oh, it's so cool.
It's so cool. Like, it's a very just, like, immersive film. And one that I wanted it to be, like, top 20 favorite movies. Hopefully one day it does get to that. And I have no doubt that it might, because if I think about a movie enough, nice. I usually end up liking it. But yeah, I appreciate this movie a lot. So, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Number one for me is Scream. This is just so much fun. It is like a spoof on horror movies, while at the same time it has one of the creepiest openings in almost any of the movies I've seen this October. It was so much fun. Ghostface and just the whole plot of it being a murder mystery was just a lot more investing. Immediately gets me invested in these characters. It's like a little over 90 minutes. I think it's actually... Yeah, it's almost 2 hours, but it does not feel like that at all. Sidney Prescott, the reporter, I forget her name at the moment, Dewey, all of these characters, you get so immediately invested in them, and I attribute that to the plot. Like, the plot is just a very immersive movie. You have great moments of dialogue with Sidney and her revelations about her mother, and then on top of it, it's just fun slasher action. So it's a perfect balance of story, action, and character, making this my favorite horror movie.
For sure, I really like that ranking there, and I think, I started Scream a while back, and then I got very, very busy, didn't finish it. I feel kind of bad about that, but I'm going to finish it very soon, and it's a wonderful movie. I think it will probably make its way up there on my favorite horror movies too. So thanks for the recommendation on that. I'm glad that you enjoyed that one, and it's really cool to have you invested in the world of spooky films. It's very great. So glad that you finally made your way over here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, one of my friends said that like horror is like another nerdy genre in itself. Like you have Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, of course, and then horror. It's like another one of those genres, and I can't believe I mean, when I was like 12, I was genuinely scared of them, so that was my excuse then. But now I'm so happy I'm giving them a shot because it's a great genre.
It's such an interesting genre, and it's just an interesting subculture of people. Like I've worked at a haunted house. I did that last year, and unfortunately wasn't able to do it due to COVID this year. But last year, working at this haunted house and being around these people who, I mean, these people are literally very, very into Halloween and spooky stuff, and it's like it's really cool to see this whole group of people, and it's kind of like. It brings together a lot of people too. I feel like it's a Halloween and horror movies and stuff like that. It feels like something that really connects people, as a lot of hobbies. But I just think, like a lot of various genres and stuff of film connect people. But I feel like this one particularly brings together lots of all different kinds of people to one shared interest, and it's really interesting and it's a lot of fun. So yeah. Alright everyone, that took us down to our number one favorite horror film for the David and Aidan show. Let us know what your favorite horror film is in the comments below, wherever you are listening / watching this podcast. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. It was really cool to kind of break it down, dive into a genre. Despite it being December, I think it is never too late to investigate various genres of film, because each genre has something to offer, and I'm the kind of guy who will even appreciate like a Christmas film in not Christmas. So it's great, and I think all genres can be appreciated at any time of the year. But yeah, we have a lot of cool stuff coming up very soon. Possible Tenet stuff around the release of that digitally in December. That's going to be very exciting. We have some Christmas episodes, and it's going to be a very exciting month for the David and Aidan show, so don't forget to subscribe and do all that fun stuff so you don't miss another episode, because it's gonna be a really fun time. Anything else over your way, David? And if you want to give us your socials as well.
You can find me on YouTube, basically Star Wars, and if you comment down below on my videos, say that you're subscribed to the podcast, I will give you a shout out in an upcoming video, so you can do that, because we definitely want to, get this podcast happening again. Sure. Also, I have a Last Jedi video. I worked on that for about a month. It's been very exhausting, but it's out. It's doing well. It's currently at 653 views. If you could get it to 1K eventually, that'd be great. Definitely check that out. I'm on Twitter way too much. You can find me there at Dave Lawler YT. And I would say I can't remember my Letterboxd spelling for the life of me now. The link to my Letterboxd is in my Twitter as well.
Yeah, awesome. You can definitely find me on YouTube at Aidan Films, and on there you can also leave a comment or something, and I'll be more than happy to give you a shout out. And if you subscribe to the podcast, you could get a shout out, so that'd be really cool. Like David said, we're just trying to really boost up our podcast growth here, and we got a lot of fun stuff in store, so stay tuned. Other than that, you can find me on Instagram, which I'm pretty active on. I post a photo, some of my photography, VFX work, and just other random stuff to my story all the time. You can find me there at _it's_Aidan. You can find me on Twitter, which I rarely use, but you might as well follow me anyways, as you're following David, who is much more active. You can find me there at Aidan_films, and at TikTok at Aidan Films, so you can find me there as well. Post some cool stuff there, so find us anywhere on the internet, and definitely check out the David and Aidan show, our socials. You can find us on Instagram as well at the David and Aidan show. We post clips and other cool stuff over there as well, so definitely check that out. But all in all, those are our socials. That was the horror film ranking, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in.
That's all I got for you today. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next episode.